psychiatric involvement can help address any mood disorders or other issues that might be occurring on a psychiatric level, and help women be able to then tap into their internal resources once their mood disorders, for instance, are sort of help supported and taken care of. And then,
page is that year?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm doing it on time. Okay.
Oh.
So this will be the sort of bigger chunk of it, and if we have questions on these, I'll hold them until, if you wouldn't mind holding them until the end, that way we can get through it all, and then I'm happy to answer questions afterwards on the phone, whatever you might need. So there has been, women don't just come and say I can't have sex comfortably, or I can't orgasm. It's not just that, and then once that's solved, everything else is okay and better, but there's also some underlying issues of depression, of anxiety, that's either caused it or is a result of it, and it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. It's really hard to pinpoint what it is. And so being able to also bring that part into the therapeutic work that you do. Relationship avoidance is another one that as I mentioned, a lot of women just find that they've been on date after date after date, or have been dating for a while, and then once it gets to the physically intimate part, they tend to just check out of the relationship for whatever reason. There's a bit of fear associated with it, and so they haven't been in a relationship for a long time. So sometimes they present as, oh, I just haven't had a relationship in a while, and I would like to, figure out what's going on. And a lot of times it's because they haven't been able to feel comfortable with engaging in sexual activity. One of the ways that you can work on that in the therapeutic work that you do is through developing assertiveness skills, communication skills, relationship building skills, and then also provide psychoeducation of stress reduction, relaxation techniques, and talking about anatomy and sexuality as well, and pain management when working with pelvic pain issues. So a lot of the research that's been done on pelvic pain that's really helpful is cognitive behavioral work. It's not typically where it's not where I'm trained well in necessarily in overall CBT, but when it comes to pelvic pain and anorgasmia, it's extremely helpful. So, and this is mainly, like I said, done with assertive communication skills, relationship skills, and communication skills. One of the techniques that's been adapted is through using pain diaries. So keeping a log of when a female experiences pain, so what was going on before, what time of the day was it, what time of the month was it, having her note what her feelings were like beforehand, what her feelings were like during the period of pain, and what they were after. This provides you a sense of a baseline. And then as your treatment goes on, so you'll want to have them start this in the very, very beginning of the treatment that you do with them. And as your treatment goes on, as the work goes on with the physical therapist or a gynecologist, you'll want them to continue to note it so you can see what works, what doesn't work. Maybe their pain happens at a certain time of the month. Maybe it happens after a long day at work, sitting in a chair, and that just sort of irritates the nerves. So this way, women can start to gain a better sense of control, because they come in and they're sort of chaotic of, I don't know why my pain is happening the way it's happening, and once they start doing the diaries, they realize, oh, it's because I do this, and I don't take a break at work. And so you can help them identify something that might relieve the pain, like, okay, so every 30 minutes, get up and stretch. So that way you get some blood flowing, and then also you're not sitting right on the vaginal nerves that might cause what seems like unprovoked pain.
Do they bring these diaries in to the therapy and read it to you? Or?
It could be helpful. It might be more helpful for them to just every week take a look at it and sort of summarize what they've found. So the diary it's not like a free-flowing journal. It's more specific bullet points. If you were to type into Google, cognitive behavioral thought diary, it'll give a good structure of what you could use, and then sort of adapt it to pelvic pain. Mm-hmm.
I think what's important also in that is realizing that for a certain percentage, the women develop the pain as a way of avoiding the intimacy.
Yes.
So you've got to get into that as well. So what is happening in your primary relationship prior to becoming sexual, and then after becoming sexual? So
Yep.
you can look for those kinds of patterns as well.
Yep, absolutely. I call that the avoidance cycle, and I help women sort of identify what their avoidance cycle is. And that way they can figure out exactly what you're saying of what's going on in the relationship that causes the pain too. It's an excellent point. So learning effective communication skills too, and assertiveness skills. Oh, yeah. The avoidance cycle up there. So doing the communication skills and the relationship skills of being able to sort of have difficult conversations with their partners about their pain, about a conflict or an issue that they have. And these ways help them, talking in these ways with their partners or with other people in general too, helps them develop a sense of assertiveness. And for the most part, a lot of the women who come in with these issues feel a sense of disempowerment. They feel sort of out of control with their own bodies. And so being able to address that from a different vantage point of just asserting themselves with other people in the world helps re-empower them. That makes sense. Felt like that I said 10 times more words than I needed to for that. Okay, so cognitive restructuring is another way that CBT work comes into play. And this is mainly for pelvic pain. And you'll want to get a sense of when the pain happens, again with the diaries, and you can notice where the cognitive distortions occur, at what point, whether they occur with anticipation of pain, during the pain, or after the pain. And then the typical cognitive distortions that happen are hypervigilance and catastrophizing. So these two in particular are very, very common. The hypervigilance is basically, for instance, a partner reaches for your client's hand and she pulls away, or she kind of clenches up, or just sort of lets go of the hand, and it causes some conflict. That simple reaching of the hand could message to her, oh, he's touching my hand, that means he wants to be physical with me, which means he wants to have sex, which means I'm going to have pain. And so she's hyper alert and hyper aware of trying to figure out what it is that's going to lead to pain. But then what happens is, like what Judy, right? Is the avoidance sort of happens, and the pain happens as a result of what she's been sort of triggered or primed to experience. And then catastrophizing is looking at one episode and thinking that's going to happen for every time that any sort of sexual involvement happens. That, oh, this pain is happening now, which means it's going to happen every time, or it's going to happen for the rest of my life, which is a really, really heavy thing for a woman to have to sit with, especially if she's been dealing with it for years.